Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Brock Beard from lastcar.info. We'll wait for a few more people to come by here, and we'll certainly jump into all the action from the race today and the action over both, well, really all weekend, Friday through Sunday, for the different divisions running this weekend. But all of that, of course, tempered by the news that was just announced just a little while ago. For those of you who aren't aware, Ima Jean McDuffie did die earlier today. She's, uh, and it's particularly interesting. I'm sure I'm not sure the right term for it. Almost 30 years to the day after JD's accident, the anniversary of which is coming up this Wednesday on the 11th. I had heard yesterday that she was in hospice. Linda was with her, which is good. But yeah, certainly thing there. So yeah, but I got to say, it was a pleasure to have known her. What little that I had. Without her interview, I don't believe that the story of her husband would have been complete. Quite honest. I know I was really relieved to hear from her back in, gosh, I think this was 2016. She was, I didn't think she was going to share that many stories, but she called me right after work back when I was working the night shift, and we had a great conversation. Probably, gosh, good couple hours, and really added to the heart of it. I think that one of the big things that wanted to kind of get across in the story, of course, was who JD was as a person, who he was as a family man, and Imogene was certainly a big part of that. I uh, I do apologize for being a bit off here, but it's kind of caught me a bit flat-footed here. So I probably shouldn't be doing this stream, but gosh, certainly. Uh, Certainly my condolences to the McDuffie family. I just, it's, yeah, I might take a moment on this, folks. you know, um, I think I don't know. It's just weird how it's weird how all that works out. I mean, the fact that it happened, that this news broke, and big thanks. I want to thank also Rick Houston for giving me the heads up on that. I had heard, like I said, on Facebook that she wasn't doing well, and Rick Houston gave me a heads up on that. And towards the end of the race, it felt silly. It's like, well, when to say it, as if that's really that important of a thing about when to say it. It's important to get the information out there, and clearly it was clear what was going on. But I posted it when the race finished, and I felt that was probably the best way to do it. And but it's it's sad. It's just and it's I mean, I know she lived a good life in spite of everything that happened back in 1991, and it was a difficult thing, but I'm just so thankful to have had the opportunity to speak with her. And yeah, so um, yeah. So again, we'll definitely get into everything from this weekend, but of course, certainly condolences over to the McDuffie family and everything from this weekend. I think when I was getting ready to do the show here tonight, I was thinking, I mean, I think it's certainly, how symbolic it was that, that she passed on the day of this race at Watkins Glen. And it was a safe race, which was good too. Long green flag runs, not, no really serious accidents and everything. And I think that's also a testament to what happened what happened that dark day back in 1991. And that's good to see. And perhaps it's another legacy of that there as well. But yeah, certainly, hearing that and everything, that's a big thing. So definitely didn't want to go, didn't want to launch off into anything else here without, of course, certainly mentioning that offhand there. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think one thing that's that's definitely a comfort is, again, thinking back to to speaking with her and how open she was. I think the biggest thing with Ima Jean in particular is that she never wanted to be called JD's widow. She always wanted to be called his wife, and that was something that I was told. I believe Linda talked to me about that back when we did our trip back in 2018. That, yeah, like, look, that's just the way it is there. um and I think that was I mean, an impossible situation for anybody to be dealing with what she had gone through back then. So yeah. um yeah, I mean, it's I I didn't think I'd be at a loss to what to say, but quite honestly I am. So yeah. So yeah. So again, that it's yeah, kind of interesting from that standpoint there. So again, condolences to the McDuffie family. Definitely want to bring out the JD hat here this evening. Those of you longtime viewers of the show, don't worry, it's not going to be all of this. We're going to certainly talk about the race action from this weekend and all that too, and everything else from there. And it's just interesting. I mean, the way things kind of tie together. I think that's the thing that always kind of comes to mind on this. I just had finished rereading the book this past week as part of putting the new audiobook together there for the JD thing, and that's in the process of getting approved here too. I'll give you some more information on that and when that's available. But just going back over the story there, and again, her part of it there, I really do think is a central part of it there, and so that was a big thing on that. So definitely wanted to yeah, it's a big thing on that. But again, yeah, thanks to Rick Houston for giving me the heads up on that there, and I'm put the information out there and everything, and hearing about that, and of course, thank you to Linda for making the message on that. I know that was certainly difficult for her as well. So yeah, it kind of reminds me. I mean, it also kind of reminds me a little bit of when we did the trip back in 2018, because for my brother and myself, we'd never been to the track before, and you're kind of taking in like the sights and sounds of it. And it is an exciting venue, as we saw this weekend, certainly. And that's kind of one part of it. But of course, always that being kind of tempered with, at the same time, we're talking about something, that happened back in 1991 at the track, and Linda and everybody there. It's kind of a challenge in that sense there. And, feel a bit of, that, certainly at this point too. But I guess the best way to really transition on this here is that again, I am going to be doing another live stream on Wednesday, where I am going to be reading samples from the JD book there that evening. I want to see if I could get this set up in such a way that I could share some pictures and everything as well, to kind of tie that in. I'd already planned on doing that before this weekend. But obviously, now with all that happening, with this now happening today, I mean, I'm certainly planning on doing it now. On top of that, so yeah, so there was information on that. So yeah, it's weird. I felt okay. I felt like I was handling this okay going on before doing the stream here today. Otherwise, I wouldn't be embarrassing myself here. Well, it's not embarrassing to talk about the news, but just like this. But nothing ever feels entirely appropriate in one case or another. Obviously, back when Ryan Newman's accident happened last year, it kind of feels like that a little bit there. But you kind of think back to 1991, and when you had Dr. Jerry Punch and Benny Parsons saying those lines there, that look, this is our job. Our job is to report the race and talk about what happened and everything, but you don't forget along the ways there too. So yeah, but yeah, certainly interesting. It's just interesting the way the world works, I guess. I guess is what to say on that. So yeah, but at any rate, um yeah. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into talk about this weekend's action here. Probably a good transition, I think. Well, let's see. Maybe I've already said that earlier. Um, Good thing to bring up here in the meantime. I'm going to do the show and tell segment a little bit earlier here today. Obviously, bringing out the Rumpel furniture hat. Big thanks to the Rumpel family for providing this back when we did. This is the same one I wore for the book signing back in 2018. So I definitely brought that back out here today. One other one, that picture I shared on Twitter earlier today of the starting lineup back in 1986. I think that was another part of it here too. It's interesting just seeing JD in the field there, of course, in the back of the field. Kudos to NASCAR for when they did repost this the broadcast from this back in 1986, and great quality. You can see actually in the beginning this same view of the starting grid on the front straightaway. But what I like about this one in particular is it shows it from the back of the field, and you kind of see a lot of the other small teams that were on there. And of course, JD's car right here in the next to last row was a track that was one of his favorites, as I discussed in the book there, that it was a venue that he particularly enjoyed over the years. And, even, from one year to the next, still struggled there like a lot of these other tracks, especially, you see, again, mechanical issues and so forth that happened even in today's race or this weekend's races. But was an interesting time there. But kudos to Stan Clinton, who is a photographer who took this picture out of Providence, Rhode Island. Found this one here. I scanned it and posted it earlier this morning there, and sharing the pictures there. One of the other interesting things of the small teams, I know I pointed out on Twitter that there's a really old Buick in this picture. That's actually right over in this shot here in this corner, about 4 or 5 rows up. That's Giacomo Giacomo's car. He ran one of the great things you see in the video version of it there. The number 63 car was like an old Valvoline Buick that pulled off the track there at the beginning. It was actually the last place finisher. But it looks just so much older than the other cars in the field. Actually, JD's actually looks like about the same age as all the other cars in the lineup there, the other Pontiacs and whatnot. So we got all that checked out there at the same time too. But yeah, the other thing too I didn't show is on the back side of it here. I like that he wrote on the back large starting fields, which is interesting actually, because I think this is a 37 car field, which is about the same size we had in the Cup Series race today. Willie T. Ribbs was apparently going to start in this. The same Willie T. Ribbs that was in the SRX series this year was at the back of the field. Unfortunately, they ended up withdrawing. I believe it was after multiple engine failures, according to the broadcast. But you can see in the shot that the 30 car that he was going to run isn't actually at the back of the field. It's got the 64, I believe it was either Eddie Bierschwal or Tommy Gale in this one, and then James Hilton in his own number 48 back there too. So that was pretty interesting from that standpoint there as well. So yeah, definitely one. If you want to get a closer look at this picture again, I posted on the Twitter feed earlier today, so you can see this in full size. I actually made this my wallpaper on my computer as well, because I think the shot came out really good, even though it's in a black and white shot. The clarity is really nice there on that too. So definitely want to check that out at the same time here. So with that, so let me go ahead and we'll jump into the race action from this week as well. So James Davison, your last place finisher today. A very clean race, as I mentioned earlier, very clean, very few incidents. A race that just tore by at a torrid pace, even with the different aero packages that we saw a couple of years ago. Of course, great to see Watkins Glen have racing back again after those couple of years. But certainly again, not a lot of high attrition. Everybody within about, it shows here, within 3 laps of the leader, except for Davison with his problems. Weird problems with the car shutting down randomly, and then pulling behind the wall for at least 2 extended stays. I was very surprised that the Ware team actually brought him out, of course, that second time there, and having as good of a run as they could. A difficult set of circumstances there. I think they were just kind of working out the bugs it sounded like over the radio. And I'm sure when they're loading the car up from one week to the next and they got the Indy road course coming up next week, I'd be surprised if they weren't using that exact same car next week as well. So that's a whole different set of circumstances on that. But James Davison, your last place finisher, Brad Keselowski with a miserable run out there for the number 2 team, despite starting at the front row after his outstanding run he had just at New Hampshire before the Olympic break. Brakes were a big problem for the number 2 team this entire run. Ended up colliding with his teammate Joey Logano at one point, and pretty much the only real on-track incident during the event. With them bouncing off each other into turn 1. The 2 car actually ultimately finished in the 35th spot in the bottom 5. Very rare for the number 2 team in general, but perhaps looking ahead of the curve to his time driving over for Roush Fenway Racing or Roush Keselowski Racing or whatever that is going to ultimately become going forward. So Garrett Smithley in the 36th spot there, further back in the lineup, kind of like what we saw of him at Sears Point earlier this year. RC Enerson in the 34th in his Cup Series debut. Not his first NASCAR race. I believe he ran an Xfinity Series race before this. So it's good to see him get back out there, especially with the action on the IndyCar side here at the same time. Good to see some cross-disciplinary action from one side to the other. And Josh Bilicki, driver of the number 52 here, had to bring this out here today. I think it was cool to see that Bilicki and some of these other smaller teams are kind of getting a little bit of attention or getting some merch together at the same time. This is incidentally, it's a very comfortable shirt there as well. Fort Worth Design Printing that works with Rick Ware on a lot of their shirts. This one and the JJ Yaley Kenny Irwin throwback that I wore were made by them. They're very, very comfortable fitting here too. And just a color you don't see often. This being the Lenny Pond throwback that he ran back in the Mother's Day weekend there. I thought that was really neat how that came out. But Bilicki this time around running the police car kind of throwback on the, or I guess, well, technically a throwback. I remember Travis Quapple running the same paint job at Sears Point back in 2008 and running at the back of the field, which made it kind of look like he was chasing the rest of the field, which was kind of entertaining back then. Bilicki almost in the same situation here. A pit road penalty towards the end of the event, dropping him back to the 33rd spot in the final lineup here. A couple drivers that were kind of impressive. I mean, of course, can't overlook Kyle Larson and again cruising to another victory here. Chase Elliott giving it a spirited rally towards the end of the event, just running out of time. And as he said in his post-race interview, just made too many mistakes. And unfortunately, in a race where you have long green flag runs, fast straightaways, and very narrow tolerances between one car to the next, you can't afford to make too many mistakes there and then really have an issue at that same point. So Chase Elliott, your second place finisher, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin rounding out the top 5. Noticeably absent from that top 5 is Christopher Bell, who, like Chase Elliott, recovered from a tail end penalty for a technical infraction found this morning. Bell had a particularly impressive run where he, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr. were battling for the lead nose to tail for several laps in the later stages of the event. Unfortunately, Kyle Larson locked up the tires going into turn 1 and spun out the number 20 car of Christopher Bell. Bell dropped back, only lost a couple of spots, but ultimately lost a chance to actually contend for the victory after the final sequence of pit stops and so forth. But Christopher Bell ultimately finishing in the 7th spot. Still a good finish and still a good way to build off the great run that he had at New Hampshire before the Olympic break. I was kind of surprised that wasn't getting discussed as much during the broadcast as there had been with the situation there with obviously his win at the Daytona Road Course got discussed a lot as being another event there. And I guess we'll see how much that transfers over to the Indy Infield Road Course next week. But at the same time there, I think that his New Hampshire run, it seemed like it was kind of surprisingly not discussed as much during the broadcast there, but would have been good to hear. But either way, good to see him back up there. Tyler Reddick and Matt DiBenedetto, I was going to be very interested to see how well they were going to participate in this race today after both had done such a good job at Road America. Tyler Reddick and, well, really DiBenedetto in particular, it seemed like he was leading even more laps. This time around, not seeing them up there as much. Reddick had a pretty good save at the beginning. Ultimately, both of them finishing in the 10th spot for Reddick and DiBenedetto in 11th. Let's see here. Chase Briscoe, I kept expecting him to just plummet through the field because it seemed like he was doing some different strategy. Of course, he had the contact with Christopher Bell that got some damage to the right front corner of his car. But it seemed like for whatever reason, just like at Road America, he was able to kind of stay up there and get a good run. I haven't really thought about Briscoe as much on his road course prowess, at least from his Xfinity Series career before getting into the Cup Series, but it certainly seems like it's actually kind of lent a hand to him actually performing a bit better on that. We haven't seen him get really good runs on the 1.5-mile tracks so much as we did last year in his ultimately dominant Xfinity Series campaign, even though he didn't ultimately take the championship from Austin Cindric. But great runs still for him. Good to see him in the 9th spot there, right behind his teammate Kevin Harvick. So that's certainly good to see. Looking further back, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I thought was very impressive in this race. He was actually up towards the front, it seemed, on a couple of those restarts. And I don't think it was just pit strategy or anything. It seemed like he actually had a solid run going. Ultimately, he shows up in the 19th spot. I mean, not a terrible run, but not a fantastic run either. Obviously, the JTG team has struggled with last place finishes, both he and Ryan Preece this year. And that seemed to kind of threaten to continue this time around because Stenhouse isn't really known as much, certainly for his road course prowess, as it is his super speedway ability. But this time around here, finishing in the 19th spot here for him. So a decent run there too. Almirola, your most recent winner at New Hampshire, in the 16th spot. The Go Bowling sponsorship tied in with the sponsor of the race. Ross Chastain in 12th after the announcement that he's now going to the Trackhouse team, driving the car number 1 to join Suarez in the 99. So kudos to him on that. Looking further back here. Corey LaJoie, that was another driver that did really well at Sears Point in particular. Unfortunately, had that spin in turn 11 that dropped him further back. Looked like he was threatening to make something happen this time around here. Strategies didn't fall the right way for him. He ends up 24th, the next to last car on the lead lap. So that's too bad on that end. A lot of the last place battles early in the race here involving Quinn Houff and Kyle Tilley. Tilley, your last place finisher of the Xfinity Series race, ends up further back in the lineup there. But at the same time, you also have Quinn Houff there. Houff ends up in the 32nd spot. Kyle Tilley in 30th there. But Brad Keselowski, again, the bottom 5 run there. Very head-turning, very disconcerting on top of, it's probably the most surprisingly disappointing run he's had this year on top of the run at Darlington back in May, actually, when this car was running, where Keselowski was just well back in the running order. Didn't seem to really be much of a factor. And that was certainly disappointing to see there at the same time. All right. Beast of Metal, thank you for the super chat here. NASCAR post-race got screwed and all for IndyCar. Ironic. I wonder the last day of the Olympics have anything to do with this quasi-transgression. Thank you for mentioning that, Beast of Metal. Thank you again for the super chat, of course. I know, I knew going into this, even before, of course, the news that came up towards the end of the race here, that doing your live stream after this, I almost was going to do a poll to say, like, look, how many people are going to be watching the IndyCar race? Maybe we'll do the live stream afterwards. But then I thought, well, we had the stream on Wednesday planned already for the JD reading. So anybody that misses this one, certainly be able to jump into that one too if they're interested. But then, of course, when that happened, the other news happened, I was like, okay, well, let's just do this and we'll be good there. But yeah, I think the IndyCar coverage, I was surprised how much it was encroaching on the Cup Series. Well, really all this weekend's coverage here. And I got a little bit of heat on that the other day on Twitter, and I still want to, I still stand by that on there. I think really when they were doing the Xfinity Series race and in the first 10 laps, they have a caution in the first 10 laps and they can't stop themselves from talking about this IndyCar race. And okay, yeah. And I'm not going to say it's not huge. It's, okay, yeah, it's a huge event. It's, they're running over a bridge. I'm sure it's exciting now. I'm going to watch it later, but, it's a good venue. I'm glad there's a great turnout. And again, thank you guys for tuning in here. I was expecting maybe just 5 people in here today because I figured they were hyping it so much. Everybody was watching it. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in here. But yeah, no, I'm not watching it live right now. But I'm sure it's going to be a great venue and everything, but it just seemed kind of rude, quite honestly, to the races they were covering, especially at Watkins Glen, which is really it has the biggest draw on the entire NASCAR schedule. Some of the most dedicated fans. One of the tracks that was eliminated from the schedule last year during the pandemic. So a real excitement in getting back out there and running this venue, and a great turnout that they showed really from there. That's exciting enough. If you're going to hype up some other race afterwards, do that later in the event. Say, okay, if you like this, just wait until tomorrow when we have this event. Like, do it that way. Again, I don't see what the difficulty is. Now, it's not to say that older broadcasts aren't guilty of this either. I remember in 1999 at Sears Point, they broke away constantly talk about the X Games. And I think the overlap between, at the time, between people that were X Games fans and NASCAR fans was pretty small. But they kept breaking away and saying, hey, the X Games hadn't even started yet. They're like saying, hey, it's down in San Francisco and they're going to be doing skateboarding and BMX Supercross and all this. It's like, no, forget that. But even then, I think the NBC one, they would just divert to entire segments of it. Now, I get that they're doing Peacock and there's the CNBC and there's people that don't have certain networks and everything like that. But I would think that would give you more reason to give less information. Like, just give a little bit. It's like, well, if you want to see this, it's going to be really exciting. You better sign up for Peacock to watch this. Just do it like that. I'm surprised they were giving so much of it away. Even Joseph Newgarden's wreck at practice. They ended up, they were just doing a drop in on there. I don't think they were anticipating it. Although with the, sometimes with time delays and everything, maybe they did know. So I don't know, but I can't speculate on that. But it's nice that they're trying to promote the event. I mean, I certainly agree with that. But I just think it was going a little bit far to the point that it's distracting from the main broadcast. And these broadcasts already have a problem not covering a whole lot of the action out there. This is much more of a Fox problem than an NBC problem. But I think people are kind of forgetting that NBC is kind of still doing that a little. They're not doing it as much, but it doesn't mean that they're not doing it at all. There's some parts that still need to be kind of worked out. And I think whether it was, the Fox broadcast with all the commercial breaks and kind of just missing stuff in the Truck Series race. I know in the Truck Series race, there was so much stuff happening because so many people were running each other over and everything, but it seemed like they were missing even more on top of it. Kudos to the folks that were showing the clips earlier today of the incident that was about to put Will Rogers in last place before ultimately, it ended up shaking the field out in that one. So kind of interesting how that all worked out there. David Wilmots goes, yeah, they used to put the NFL draft instead of Martinsville. Yeah, there you go. Or how about, remember when they had the home run derby? Did a lot of Ricky Rudd's win at Martinsville in 1998, or not the home run derby, the home run challenge between, I'm almost forgetting the names, Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. Ooh, okay. I didn't have to Google that really quick. You had a lot of that was kind of preempted there, but I get that at the same point. ESPN covered it. They have access to all these different sports, and everybody was wondering what was happening. So they were going to have to break into it. And, and I guess that was kind of cool. That was special in that sense. And I guess to IndyCar people, and especially people in Nashville, this is certainly a special event to them. And, again, good for them. I mean, it's great that Nashville is suddenly in the headlines here. I just think it's getting covered enough. Now, maybe that I'm not the best source for that because I'm already following it as is, but I've seen constant advertisements. That ad with Sheryl Crow, they played it to the point that it was almost a meme a couple weeks ago, and they were just continuing to play it today. But at least they're doing it as a commercial that's not interrupting anything, happening on track. Still at the same time, we had the Nashville Super Speedway that had some decent racing there during that weekend. There's discussion about racing at the fairgrounds, had the SRX series run out there. They have the championship banquet as well. And now this, it's fantastic for them. And they're really selling it. So, if it turns out to just be a huge event, this is like the biggest event in the history of whatever, great. I don't hold that against them. I just wish that they would show that much excitement to what they're actually doing when they're actually at the track. That just incenses me because I only get to a couple races a year, like 3 or 4 races a year. And when I go there, I don't know what to do with myself almost. I'm just running here, running there, and I'm meeting this person, meeting that person, seeing that, and hearing this. I'm almost tripping over my own feet going from one place to the next because I don't get to do it that much. And I'd wish that, and again, there's aspects of that can be a problem too. You want to kind of act like you've been there before and, kind of slow things down a little bit and make sure you're not missing something while you're zipping from one place to the next. But it was frustrating to me because they would be describing what's happening during the Watkins Glen race, especially on Saturday, and then their voice would go up like a couple octaves, and they describe the IndyCar thing. It's like, oh my gosh, they're racing across a bridge. Can you believe it? A bridge. And it's like, okay, well, all right, this is Watkins Glen. This is like a really great venue, and it's got really exciting races. It reminds me of doing those terrible broadcast videos where I'm describing like, like, oh my gosh, this football game is gonna be great. I can't wait till this is over so I can watch that. That's what it feels like. And I can't be the only one feeling this way. I don't think I've wondered if it's a particular eccentricity on my side or if it's something else over there. So that's what it feels like to me. But I don't know. Oh gosh, something happened with Marcus Erickson. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I again, if you guys are having the IndyCar race in the background, I don't blame you. I wasn't expecting hardly anybody being in here today, but certainly with everything going on, I felt like doing it later probably wouldn't be a great idea. So again, I do thank you guys for jumping in. We'll talk about the Xfinity race and the Truck Series race here. Might be more of a shorter show here today anyway, but we'll pick up the slack here on Wednesday for that. Let's see. Anything else big from the Cup Series side? What's going on with Trackhouse, the number 99 team at these road courses? This is like 3 races in a row now, and I wonder if this is going to happen over into the Indy road course. Remember back at Coda, they had the car stop on the track. I think it was a transmission issue there. They got pushed behind the wall. They were behind the wall for several laps, running in last place. Ultimately came back out and dropped Justin Haley to last, and it just completely took them out of contention. Road America, they stopped under one of the bridges there. Had a similar issue there, had to get pushed back to the garage area and brought back in. Sears Point, they actually had kind of a decent run, but then they actually had a bit of fisticuffs there with Michael McDowell at the end, pushing and shoving there, ended up dropping him out of the top 10 and dropping McDowell back in the lineup there. At least got through that race. And then we come back to today's race, and the car just shuts off. Similar issue to what James Davison had in the 51. I don't know what's going on with them at the road courses, because it seems like every other track, they've been very impressive this year. And they're very different from the other Childress teams with the Childress partnership. It'd be interesting to, again, this is something else that it would be nice if the broadcast went back to, is some kind of Ford cutaway car kind of thing where you could point to these things and say, okay, this is what's happening. I feel like these broadcasters are just guessing constantly what's happening. And anybody could guess. I could guess. You guys can guess. Anybody else can from these shows. So it's hard to really, it's just absurd at that standpoint. But yeah, it's maybe it's something that'll come back in time, but who knows on that end. But I just thought that was an interesting story, and they did touch on it to their credit, especially in today's broadcast. They were kind of saying that they've had other ones earlier this year. I think it got to the point even where Jeff Burton brought it up and Steve Letarte was repeating it. So I'm glad they're aware of it, but I'd like to know more about what exactly is happening, get a little bit more into it, and what they're trying to fix, because I know the team's frustrated, and I know Suarez has got to be frustrated that he keeps having these races in the garage area for as long as he's been. So that's just weird how that works out. So yeah. Let's see here. Misa Metal, thank you again for the other super chat here. I don't know if you're gonna get me into trouble here a little bit if I'm gonna be talking too much about talking smack about other sports figures here. Good thing Mark McGuire isn't here today. He'd insist that he isn't here to talk about the past and how we shouldn't either. Well, I grew up an Oakland A's fan. We lived near the Oakland Coliseum, and I can tell you that we loved the Bash Brothers era there, and it was great to be the dominating team that they were. But obviously, yeah, in hindsight, we now know what the reason for all that was, and yeah, that's unfortunate and everything. And now we're waiting for the A's to just get back to the World Series ever since then, and that's been a challenge in and of itself. Say what you will about Moneyball and everything, but it's that seemed to help Boston a lot more than it's helped Oakland. I'll tell you that. Oh, goodness. Would you talk about Anthony Alfredo's inability to get out of the leader's way? I thought Ryan Moore, interesting comment. I was thinking much more that you had kind of that problem with at the end there with Josh Bilicki and Daniel Suarez getting out of second place's way. I just think really in general, there's just no good place to go on a road course. It's so hard to hold your line because you're throwing those cars in and out of those corners, and those cars don't want to turn. Hopefully next year's cars are going to be a little bit more nimble on the courses, maybe take some inspiration from the old LR series that NASCAR man discussed a while back. but that would be another one to kind of look at there. But it is a little frustrating, but I think it's still, I've always been of the mind that lap traffic is part of the challenge, that you have people trying to hang on to the tail end of the lead lap, especially if you have this race within a race for the lucky dog, and so forth there. I don't think that was a situation for Alfredo, but yeah, it's too bad on the road courses because there's really no other way to get around a particular driver when something like that happens. You got to just either root him out of the way, get him into the grass, or just figure something out. But again, I've always been a big advocate of lap traffic making a race interesting. You could say that, oh no, it kept the second place guy from catching the leader. You could also say, oh good, it held up the leader, so second place caught him. Look back to Dale Earnhardt spitting out Terry Labonte in '95. He spit out Wallace earlier, but specifically Labonte's spit at the end of the '95 Bristol night race. That happened because of lap traffic. Or you could talk about 2012 at Watkins Glen and the car spilling oil all over the track, making that finish as exciting as it turned out to be between Keselowski and Kyle Busch and good old Marcus Ambrose. Yeah, it could play out any number of different ways. It's a double-edged sword, just like a lot of aspects of NASCAR are. But yeah, that's another thing to kind of look at there. Goodness, I see the IndyCar wreck. No, I should probably keep the stream on in the background, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Ryan Moore, I'm seeing your comment here again on that they dropped NASCAR off the air 11 minutes early for the IndyCar coverage. See, again, it kind of, didn't we have this same issue back at, there was one where they had the Las Vegas race. I know there was, because I was at this race. I was at Sears Point for the IndyCar finale, and the Las Vegas Cup race was ending right beforehand. And that race ran long with, I think a red flag or something. And they had to kick it over. I was surprised that they set this up in such a way that they had to be double billed and, have that tight turnaround. That's something that has to be looked at. This Watkins Glen race could very easily have gone over if he had it ran unnaturally fast. We had Martin Truex set a new track record here just a few years ago, didn't we? Back when he was driving for Furniture Row. Luckily, we had another fast race. It turned out to be they weren't throwing cautions for hardly anything, which I actually liked. I think road course races with long green flag runs make the strategies more interesting. I still think the stage cautions screw a lot of that up, and today was no exception in that sense. But yeah. Let's see. Anthony Alfredo. Could have been Franchitti's crash at Houston. Well, gosh, hopefully not that bad. Goodness. That'd be a different one. Yeah, the weather at the Glen was kind of surprising too. Of course, again, Watkins Glen has had a long history of just having terrible weather in August, and even though it's a great date, it actually dates back, as I said this in the book. Actually, it dates back when Road America's original date was when they were on the Cup schedule before they got taken off until just this year. So that was really a big difference back then. But again, August in upstate New York, for whatever reason, tends to be cloudy and overcast and kind of fall-like. I think Parker Kligerman was talking about this earlier in the weekend. Yeah, kind of an interesting set of circumstances with that. But even the weekend we went, there was a huge storm that had for the Xfinity Series race. It actually ran in the rain for the first time. I know our friend Charlie Birch. By the way, big kudos to Charlie. Got featured on WETM 18 in Elmira, New York by Andy Melnoske and their folks up there. I linked the video on Facebook. It was through Tammy's page there that she was up there with Charlie. So I'm not sure if you guys are able to see the video there, but they did a really nice job kind of talking about his career and touching on, of course, that famous picture of JD and Richard Petty and Dave Marcus back in the day there. So another one to kind of check out from there. But yeah, it's that was just a crazy weekend in general. When they had the rain come down there, and they actually had the one practice session where they only had a few drivers actually coming out to actually run some laps on the wet track there because they were first timers. I think Tommy Joe Martins was one of the guys out there at the time, and I know Kaz Gralla was, because that was back when they were running the Fury race cars team. So that was just interesting. But crazy though. That was back in a time where you had cars that didn't have rain tires and had to just sit there and lose laps as everybody else got to go out there and run laps. I would have loved to be on pit road for that. I just wasn't at that point there. But yeah, interesting story in general. Let's see. Let me check here. Let me check here. Okay. Let's jump into the Xfinity Series race here at the same time. Make sure I didn't refresh the wrong page. We'll cut things back. We'll just go backwards through the events here. Ty Gibbs, thrilling victory there for Ty. He's really the real deal. I think if the Daytona infield road course race weren't enough indication of that, this would certainly be a good sign of it there too. A fantastic run that he had. It takes a lot of skills to beat AJ Allmendinger and especially Austin Cindric in any race these days, with how high powered those teams are and everything. And you could say the same out of Joe Gibbs, the course 54, and how dominant Kyle Busch has been in that car. But the kid's still making just amazing moves. That runoff in turn one seems so rough. I don't know how he was able to kind of maintain a lead or keep in touch with the leaders during that time. And the real side of it there, that he lost the lead to Allmendinger and got it back, was particularly impressive. I know everybody's got their superlatives already on that, so I'm not really adding too much there. But I noticed it too, and that was fantastic. Looking further back in the field, not a good day for the only two international drivers in the field. Kyle Tilley in the last place spot under the damaged vehicle policy got turned by Dave Smith there on a early restart. Tried to keep the car going, was dragging body work, couldn't meet minimum speed, and was ultimately pulled off the track. I did think the timing of that was a little strange. I don't know if he ran out of time just before the caution, because it seemed like they waited all the way until the restart to tell him. I guess you can't be too upset if they erred on the side of letting him run longer rather than not. But kind of reminded me a little bit of, I think it was Reed Sorensen, or it was something with the 77 team at Bristol a couple years ago where they had a red flag come out and there was questions about whether that factored into the crash clock time or not. That was kind of something that came up there. But Tilley being in your 40th spot there at the same time. Alex Labay, the 39th spot, the other international driver, rear gear failure after an axle flew out of the car in the early stages. Matt Mills with a crash. Austin Dillon with chassis issues after, I believe it was what was it? A track bar issue or truck arm? It was something like that. Dropped him out. Eric Jones with a hard hit dropped him out into the bottom five. Really interesting battle for a lot of the Xfinity race on the crash clock. Michael Munley was very hard on himself when he had that wreck in turn five. Again, this track is treacherous enough and fast enough. I can't imagine how easy it is to overshoot these corners. But I was very impressed that he was able to keep driving that car after that impact. I thought that he was suffering too heavy of damage in that situation there. So very surprising. Dave Smith back in the 33rd spot there as well. Let's see. Alrighty. Here. Hang on here, folks. I need to get something here in just a moment. I'll be right back here. So I'll mute the mic here, but the screen will still be up here in the meantime. Okay, I'm back. All right, we're still here. Okay, sorry, I had to blow my nose there. I was getting too congested. I'll start sounding, well, I don't know. All right. Anyway, we're back. Where were we leave off? Oh yeah, in the Xfinity Series race. I want to kind of jump into this here. A lot of series debuts this weekend, which I think made a lot of the fields really interesting. One that was kind of overlooked in general, but I talked a bit about it, was that of Dave Smith. For those of you that are kind of longtime viewers of the channel, you'll recall Dave Smith was actually the guy that I rode with at Sears Point a couple years ago. I think it was 2019 during that year. Took us a couple laps around there and ended up integrating that into my starting grid. Yeah, it was 2019 because that was when Darrell Waltrip retired. I did the starting grid video on that. Really cool guy, kind of an older competitor there that has been a track instructor for many years and competing out there. So, kudos to him on actually getting into the Xfinity Series. Actually, when we were at Sears Point this year and he was competing in the ARCA Menard Series West event, of course, the former K&N West Series, he was talking about looking into a Cup Series ride next year. And especially since they got the next gen car coming up, you have all these different road courses. He has this road course experience. He's looking to kind of build up into that. Obviously, with this being his debut in the series, it turned out to be a little bit of kind of a rough ride there. He had a spin very early on with Ryan Sieg. He had the incident with Kyle Tilley, but he still ended up finishing in the 33rd spot, the last car running at the finish. So he got to outlast a couple of other competitors out there. I just want to offer again, kudos to him on making his debut out there. Again, he's really determined guy. He back in 2019, he actually was saying that he was going to have a ride for Watkins Glen in the back in the East Series if he had a top 10 at Sears Point, and he did actually do that. And then for some reason, the deal still fell through, and somebody else was driving the car. Don't know what exactly happened there behind the scenes, but glad this time around. And kudos to Jimmy Means in particular. It looks like the Jimmy Means team is kind of picking up more drivers that are bringing on sponsorship. That's one thing that Dave's been really adamant about. He's been working with people that are able sponsors and everything else. The former manager of the Giants and the Giants, the Cubs, and somebody else there, just big time competitor out there. He was actually doing some work with him and like some of the other companies he was involved in, his rides there. Looked like he had a different deal there for the 52 car there. Kind of reminiscent. We saw Spencer Boyd pick up a ride there, and I guess who else was it? There was somebody else who was picking up a ride this year. Even though Gray Galding has been more the traditional driver for the 52 this year. But yeah, glad to see he got a good run. I'm glad that the car wasn't, too beat up there. I know he had a couple of fender benders out there, but came back with the car in one piece. And so a shout out to him there as well. Kyle Weatherman. I mean, all kinds of drivers had problems before the start of the race. I mentioned Michael Munley there before the break. And again, another problem they were having with the radio at the beginning of that race. So, it was, again, kind of weird how all that shook out. He actually caught the issue. He was past his pit stall. They had to get up there and try to fix the radio. Missed the start of the race, was a half lap behind, and then that's when he had that issue over in turn 5 with the wreck. An unfortunate start of his series, but you kind of think back, it's very rare that drivers have excellent runs in their first race. More often than not, they kind of end up that way. I think Rusty Wallace is one of the few guys that had a fantastic run in his first ever Cup start, not even in Xfinity. Rusty Wallace finishing second in a Penske car at Atlanta to Dale Earnhardt in his first ever Cup was extraordinary. Most other competitors there, I remember there was a chart that people broke this down about like the first career finishes of a lot of different big names. There was an old fan guide that had that printed in there. I'm sure somebody on Reddit or something has probably already posted or updated that since then. I think somebody had that where it was like the most recent run for like a car number, or how many seasons a car number was running. That was kind of interesting. So there's that too. Preston Pardus in the 23rd spot. Daniel Hemrick dropping back there in 22nd. Not a lot of surprising runs in the top 10 there. I mean, mostly the usual suspects are Justin Allgaier, Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, Noah Gragson. But I thought they put on a decent show. I think they've had a good solid race going. Glad they were able to get the full distance in, whereas the Truck Series wasn't able to, and we'll certainly get into that here next. Getting to the Truck Series event. Again, first time for the Truck Series there since 2000. Glen finishing in last place. This time around, Chandler Smith disqualified after finishing, I believe, about 18th spot in the race. Still makes the playoffs. No issue with that. And thank goodness for that, because that could have been a tremendous penalty in ordinary circumstances there. But Chandler Smith taking the last spot from Will Rogers. Rogers had a litany of problems at the beginning. Again, thanks to the video that was posted earlier today, showed him being forced off the track as Brian Kozlowski had described it, and then ultimately having a problem with the transmission, the U-joints, and sending him behind the wall. And it all happened so quickly that he only completed 6. Unfortunate situation there. Grant Enfinger is another driver that's had a lot of mechanical issues lately. The transmission failure he had kind of reminded of, what was it, at Pocono, where he had a top 10 run going with a CR7 team, and then had a mechanical issue at the end, drop him into the bottom 5 in a low attrition race. That was unfortunate. Norm Benning flagged off a track for running too slow, although actually there were other incidents before that where he had the oil tank was apparently leaking into the fuel tank, had issues with that. It was causing smoke. There was some problems with the radio communication at the same time. Benning kept coming down pit road and had to go to the garage area for it. And then ultimately we got back out there. That's when he was flagged off the track there. So it turned out to be kind of a frustrating after one spot behind Jennifer Jo Cobb there in the bottom 5. AJ Allmendinger unable to get the finish that probably a lot of people were expecting he was going to run as a last-minute replacement for Chase Purdy due to COVID protocols. Allmendinger finishing in the 27th spot there. Looking further up the rankings there. But Austin Hill takes the victory by not being a new winner this year. That kept Chandler Smith into the championship playoffs there, despite the disqualification that dropped him to last place. And of course, this was another example, much like when we were at Texas, we already had an article all set for Will Rogers, and the 41 is a rare number to finish last in the Truck Series. Turns out the number 18 is also a rare number. And this is the first time since 2012 with the late Jason Leffler at Daytona that number has finished last in a Truck Series race. So you had that there as well. I didn't mention with Kyle Tilley in the Xfinity Series race, the number 99, the BJ McLeod's team in general, to lead in the owners' standings there this year. So the number 99 team, I believe, has had more last place runs than any of those 3 cars on that program, with 3 now with Stephen Parsons and now Mason Massey back at New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago. Let's see, other runs through here. Kaz Gralla had a nice way to bounce back. He had some damage at the very beginning of the race. Everybody just running over each other. Couldn't they have just squeezed in any amount of practice to kind of get these guys back out there? But it was just a complete mess at the start of the race there. First 5 or 6 laps during which Will Rogers was collected. And FS1 was completely out of their depth to actually be able to catch half of what was happening out there. It would have been nice. Now, maybe it's not possible. It's hard to do. I do think the radio approach to the broadcast that we saw in the Xfinity and Cup race is much more the way to go. Doing it remotely and doing it just with a couple people there isn't really the best way, whatever the logistics are. But that's something that needs to be looked at going forward, especially to the health of the series. You know, what people are seeing and what people are understanding from the event, no amount of hype is going to actually offset actually catching the moment when it happens or describing it in a real exciting manner. If you're not doing that, then, you know, it's really going to be a detriment to the sport itself. It could be the most exciting race ever and just be borderline unwatchable or just hard to watch. And there's other options out there. I mean, I know there's radio broadcasts and everything, but it shouldn't be necessary to use that. So that's kind of where I'm, still at with that. Congratulations to Carson Savar for making the playoffs there, the number 42 team. I thought he was the most aggressive guy out there during that Truck Series race. He was making unbelievable moves. That initial wreck, which Chandler Smith was actually involved in, spinning out in turn 1, Hocevar got in the grass and had a full wheel slide through the grass that still managed to point in the right direction for the exit of turn 1. I would almost nominate that as the move of the race there, not only saving his truck, but actually being able to really hardly lose any spots. If anything, he probably actually gained a couple spots after the spin. Great run for him there in the 10th spot. I thought he was going to have an outside shot at actually winning the thing before the race got cut short there. But of course, Austin Hill in the lead. Parker Kligerman in the 5th spot. It's great that the drivers starting 38th, 39th, and 40th all finished in the top 10. That was a fantastic storyline in there. So that was good to see there at the same time when you had competitors that are, not able to stay up there as often. And then you have drivers that are able to kind of cycle their way back in there. So kudos to them. I thought they made a really exciting show between Parker Kligerman in 5th, Paul Menard in 8th, of course, returning to the site of his Cup Series debut years ago for Andy Petrie, and Sam Mayer with the nose riding up a bit higher on his number 32, running among the leaders for much of the distance and finishing in the 9th spot there after starting last in the field. Really good to see. Something you'll notice, and I did this in the Cup Series article today too, with the drivers dropping to the back of the field. I'm trying to really keep track more of like the tail end of the field and who's actually back there. Because again, today it certainly was critical with Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell, the Truck Series for other competitors too. Oftentimes they'll say, "Oh, this driver is dropping to the back of the field. He's starting in last place." It's like, well, sometimes it's more like 32nd place or 28th place or something because other drivers drop to the back there too. There's a lot of shuffling that happens in the back of the field that just doesn't get covered because, of course, at that point the cameras are all looking at the front of the field. Everybody's watching the front of the field. They want to see what's happening. This is a part that kind of gets overlooked a bit. Luckily, with the intervals, if you catch them right after the start of the race and then kind of reorganize them, you can see the actual order that people cross the stripe coming to the green flag. It's not always the most accurate indicator. Sometimes you have a situation like Jack Wood's wreck at Pocono where it happens coming to the stripe and everybody has to split around them. But most of the time, you get a really interesting sense of it. It's very hard to do at the short tracks because sometimes you don't get scoring until like 3 or 4 laps into it. You'll have to just kind of actually look at what's happening out there. Martinsville, I think, is a little bit of an issue with that too. But most of the other tracks, especially the road courses, you can kind of catch it. So I did that in the Truck Series and the Xfinity articles, and you'll see that in the Cup article there as well. Looking here. Corey Heim in 18th. Good to see Taylor Gray, excuse me, be able to make his Truck Series debut in the 35th spot there. Kudos to them there. So that was good to see. But yeah, Austin Hill with the victory. This also, I would be remiss without mentioning this, of course, at the same time. Now, we don't talk about ARCA a whole lot on here, but absolutely was excited by the massive starting grid that we had in Friday's race. I was watching it after I got off work last week. And the battle that they had out there, it was much more than just Ty Gibbs and Corey Heim this time around. You had other people get up into the mix. But, of course, one of the big stars of the story has to be our good buddy Brad Perez. Congratulations again to him on making his ARCA debut. Kudos to the Josh Williams team for working very well with him, even when things kind of went sideways there. I believe Toby Christie pointed out that he ran as high as 14th in that race, and that's well into the distance as well. We're not talking just a great start or maybe a lot of penalized drivers at the beginning, and also a relatively low attrition race for the ARCA series, given that we've seen such smaller fields there, as you see in William Saki's features here on lastcar.info. But again, great runs for a lot of these different competitors back there, and him certainly among them. Ultimately ends up back in the 24th spot there at the finish when the car finally just gave up there in the last couple laps. But again, not for a lack of trying out there. And it was great that apparently he was interviewed by MRN even after the race when he was working on the 25 team there, the Rackley War effort with Josh Berry and on Saturday. And hopefully the first of many starts there as well. I know that he made some T-shirts and stuff that were promoted there at the same time. Definitely check out his Twitter page. I believe it's at Brad X Perez on that for more information on that. But really good to see. I think it's fantastic when, you see competitors out there that are trying to work their way up the ranks. There's another pit crew member that's actually trying to do the same thing on Rick Ware's crew, trying to work his way into the ARCA series. I saw him over at Phoenix a couple of years ago as well. So again, you never know who's going to work their way up there. I remember seeing, what was it? You had Phil Parsons' son there at the same time. Trying to get into the series as well. Stephen Parsons, great runs for him and for BJ McLeod's effort and trying to get his feet under him. And that's what's great about it. I still think teams are the canary in the coal mine, and I'm glad that there's kind of this renaissance in team ownership where you have teams like Trackhouse and 2311, and again, even BJ McLeod's effort with Matt Tift at Live Fast Motorsports, looking to invest more in the sport and get talent up there. Will we see Josh Williams as a team owner perhaps join those ranks someday? He's had some great runs in the Xfinity Series as a driver. Maybe this is something that we'll see further down the line as a team owner. But that would be good to see. But kudos to him on a great run there. It's very exciting to see him kind of work his way up through the lineup there. Things go sideways from time to time, but I think he really seemed to take it in stride from his interviews and the videos he posted afterwards. And definitely have to congratulate him on that as well. So we're gonna do some more trivia here in a little bit here. Let's see. Drove the 52. Corey Zaradnicek? Thank you for your comment there as well. NBC needs to do something with Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton. Voices are way too high pitched and overpower the broadcast. It could be up there. I think there's definitely something to be said for kind of working things out from one way to the next. But I do think that I think part of that is the radio style broadcast, and I'm willing to kind of deal with maybe some imbalance in the sound effects or the levels of the sound if they're having to shout over the sound of the cars. That's going to be kind of an aspect, even if you watch older broadcasts when Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons would do it. It's not unprecedented. They would have to kind of really speak up too, because the technology wasn't nearly as good back in the 90s. But yeah, I think it's really kind of exciting to see, them work with that. And I hope they do it more for Indianapolis and some of these other events coming up here too. So, really exciting to see. Let's see here. Oh dear. Gosh. I had I'm just checking my Twitter feed here at the same time. I guess those of you watching the IndyCar race again there, I'm curious to be seeing what I'm going to be seeing. I see one here. It says, I had high hopes for this race in Nashville, but holy disaster. And another one says, I need a beer. That's not promising. Well, we'll find out. I guess. I won't. Again, I might. Okay, maybe I will turn it on here in the background, and we'll find out here. We'll do trivia here in a little bit, folks. But it's pointing away from the camera, so I guess that probably won't be a problem. I'll probably put this on mute though. Here, we'll do another step up from the camera to grab the remote. Apologize to those of you watching from home that I'm moving in and out of the chair here. But we'll make this work here as best as possible. It's like, okay, I can see maybe this is worth the hype that we're seeing from this weekend's broadcast, but maybe not for the reasons intended. It would be unfortunate. I hope it would be just an exciting race and not something that's just going to be really ridiculous to look at. But okay, hang on. Let's make sure that's muted there. Behind the scenes, folks. There we go. Oh, turn that off, didn't I? Thrill and amazement as I fumble with the universal remote. Okay. Goodness. Hello. You don't want that. Okay, what are things looking like here, folks? Let's see what I figured this was going to be in a situation here from this here with it going on at the same time as the IndyCar race. But again, as I mentioned there on the stream, we're gonna do another stream on Wednesday for sure. Whoop, hello. That. Okay, they're only 20 laps in. Alrighty. So we'll keep that in the background here for now, and then we'll see what's going on. Demonetize Beast of Metal. Keep quiet, buddy. Keep quiet. We're cool. It's just no. It's not here. It's not here. Alrighty. Oh, that looks like a red flag. Well, that's not good. 10-car traffic jam. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll see the replays of that. Super deep. Okay, this has been quite the stream. My goodness. Okay, all right. Maybe I should have done this from the beginning. Well, probably the beginning would have been appropriate, but Alrighty. Okay. So, let me get here. Yes, they're making mentions of Rob Miller's illness there too. Of course, I think we talked about that on the last show a while back there too. Again, tremendous individual. Certainly wishing him the best for sure, and I'm glad they're drawing attention to that as well. The broadcast. So we'll go ahead and jump into trivia here. I think we touched on. Okay, we talked about. We definitely want to talk about Brad Perez and the ARCA race. We got that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into trivia here. So, you guys have any other questions about this weekend's action or everything else that was happening here? Anything else I missed along the way? Don't hesitate to let me know. We'll definitely cover that at the same time here. But in the meantime, we'll do some questions here. Whoop, hang on. Let's go into the categories. All righty. Glad you like the shirt there, Alexandra Benatti. If you go over to Josh Balicki's page, this is the only shirt in the merch shop. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta pull the trigger on that. So the 52 car, I feel so bad for Balicki and some of these runs on the ovals. For some reason, one race to the next on the ovals, it seems like they just don't have a car that's running that quickly. And they're just, you constantly see them in the background as a lap car as everybody's kind of going by. Hopefully they pick up some speed. I think of these road courses, that's what was disappointing with James Davison's run today, of course. And I know a lot of people on Twitter were mentioning this at the same time. He had the potential of having a really good run. And unfortunately, things just didn't really shake out for him there. Hopefully things do work out for him there and he gets some better runs. I know he was excited to run at Road America being his home track. And again, the other thing that I think you have to figure out, of course, is that how many cars is Rick Ware going to have next year? And is Balicki still going to be part of that equation? We've seen so many different drivers in the 53 this year and Garrett Smithley and so forth. Davison's been getting his feet under him in the 15 car. And of course, Cody Ware running closer to a full season, although he's running this already. Is he still running in this IndyCar race so far? Or I don't know. Alrighty. Okay. So, again, for those of you here, we'll go ahead and do some trivia here in the background. The categories are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. I feel bad for everybody that's going to be watching this show later. I do apologize. It's been kind of a mess today, but we're going to have another show on Wednesday too, so we'll keep going here. Categories again: NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. All right. Oh, no tires, just gas. James Davison does have one previous last place finish. It was at the Southern 500 last year, which made him the first driver to finish last in the Indy 500 and the Southern 500. And I think that's the first time to do that ever, not just in the same year. So a very rare feat on that one. So this is his second last place finish, again, pending post-race inspection. Haven't heard anything new on that. Luckily, I haven't got too far into writing the article, so I wouldn't have to rewrite a lot of this stuff versus what we had in the truck series, where I had a perfectly adequate Will Rogers article. I was going to really turn in that whole Kevin Harvick at Sears Point thing in 2017 and do it, and then I had to just cross that out. So one part of the whole deal, it just kind of works out this way. You might know if this track has lights. I assume it doesn't. I guess the bridge would have lights. Looks like it's still pretty light out there, but what if they got like 60 laps to go or something in this? Okay. Just seeing a couple guesses so far. Not guesses. We got suggestions here. NASCAR, wild card, teams or tracks. I'll go ahead and wait for some more to come in here. Did Jimmy wreck his car again? Oh my God. He can't catch a break. I was surprised that they were talking about. I mean, what he had the incident in qualifying, and then he had an incident in warm up, and now he's got something else going on here. So I don't know. Oh, Fanta or Bud? Oh no, this is here. I'll pull it out of the can here. Makes a little. the only beverage, the official beverage of the Last Car live stream, Mountain Dew Code Red, in my 2003 Ricky Craven koozie. There we go. Looks like I'm drinking the Tide Pods cup, I think is the unofficial working title of this so far. Are they bringing out backup cars, or are they just letting them fix them? I don't know what's happening here in the meantime. Cody Ware hit him? Oh, dear. That's too bad. 10-car traffic jam. Well, I'm sure they're going to show the replays here pretty soon. Wild card, teams or tracks. Okay, I see a couple for teams. 3 for teams. I see 2 for tracks. 1 for NASCAR. 2 for NASCAR. The official but unofficial drink. Yeah, that's pretty much the way to put it. There's definitely no money changing hands there. I'll tell you that. So, yeah. But been a busy couple of weeks. For those of you who didn't tune in, we only did one stream here during the Olympic break. We did one, I believe it was last Sunday for this here. So I have finished the JD McDuffie audio book. I have submitted it to Amazon. I had to figure out a little bit of a crash course in audio editing here to kind of get that all set up because it was a little tricky. You had to get the ranges narrowed and everything, and it's very particular about it on Amazon. But the good news is I got it approved. It should be available any day now. Once it's available, I'm going to make that publicly noted. I was hoping to get it ready before the 11th. Not sure if that's going to happen or not, but once it does get available, I'll certainly let you know. Looks like the ebook is going to be set up too, which would be fantastic. I was having all kinds of formatting issues with that. It looks like it's working okay. But again, I'm kind of holding off on that there in the meantime. Those of you who are still interested in paperback copies, they are still available through Waldorf Publishing on Amazon. If you look up JD and my name on there, it'll still come up. You'll see a new listing on there where the cover is a little bit different. That's where the audiobook is eventually going to be, but it's not there yet. So we'll have some more information on that. The other good thing, now that that's been cleared up, I've been able to kind of get some more transcription work done. I've been updating the Derek Cope book as well this week and getting that set up here. So that's been good. I had some other information that I collected from Sears Point and other stuff that's been trickling in here. So I'm looking to get that going. Don't have any new news on when that book is actually going to be actually uploaded or made available. Hopefully we'll have something going on there. What's next on the list after that, of course, is getting Rise of the Field fillers going again. That, of course, being on Andy Belmont. I have what turns out was actually a 3-hour interview. I hadn't looked at the audio clips in a while. I thought it was originally just 2 hours, but 3 hours of content on that that I'm currently transcribing. Luckily, I found some good transcribing software that's cut down the production time on that, and I'm working on getting that ready too. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. And on top of that, I got my new It's Alive graphic that you've seen on the Twitter feed there too. So when a car is coming back out of the garage area, I'll have a graphic for that. I should make some other graphics too. Probably something where somebody goes behind the wall or is declared out of the race or something. Maybe we'll have something there too. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, definitely let me know. We'll work something out on that too. You like my PJs? Thank you. 2.5 or 3 for each, depending on your view of split votes. Okay. Let's see. Teams leads tracks. We'll just do teams. We'll jump into teams here. That's usually a pretty popular one. All righty. First trivia question of the evening. What co-owner of the Wood Brothers team designs engines and carries tires in races? What co-owner of the Wood Brothers team designs engines and carries tires in races? So cars are rolling in the IndyCar race. What co-owner of the Wood Brothers team designs engines and carries tires in races? Oh, okay, now we're getting replays. Okay, well, this is the first I've seen of it so far. Okay, looks good. Looks good. Looks okay. Wait, is this happening now? Oh no, this is happening now. Okay. Oh, that was a replay. Oh, okay. It's live, but it's not live. Okay. Holy okay. Yeah, that could have been bad. That could have been that could have been very bad. Okay. So now we're up to lap 16. Then we got what we got here. Well, good job stopping it there. Not running into anything. Uh ooh, that's not gonna work at the bottom. Oh goodness. I could probably just kick the nose off one of those cars with just a ill-timed step. What co-owner of the Wood Brothers team designs engines and carries tires in races? Yeah, that was a scary one there with what was that, Ericsson or Palau? I'm rusty on IndyCar things for sure. Okay, we got guesses for Glenn and Leonard, Smith brothers. Oh, Jarkson, you were asking what he was disqualified for? Yeah, the disqualification in the Truck Series race. If you're asking about that, failed post-race heights for Chandler Smith. I didn't mention that earlier. I did not mention that earlier, rather. Yeah, so it seems to be the one that's catching most of these teams off guard. It makes me wonder how strictly that's being followed in other rounds of inspection because it doesn't seem to come up there. It always is at the end of the race. We had issues with that. I believe Christopher Bell and Eric Jones were snagged for that before. So yeah, um, different situation there. But watch Leonard Wood's interview on the Dale Jr. podcast. No, not yet. I need to check that out. What co-owner of the Wood Brothers team designs engines and carries tires in races? The answer is Len Wood. Len Wood. So Leonard Wood. I'm sure you guys are correct on that one. I have listened to the. I've been listening more to the Scene Vault podcast lately, catching up on that. Yeah, definitely enjoyed some of the interviews. The one with Ronnie Thomas I thought was really good. I'm going through Michael McSwain's now, so I'm a little bit behind on the current stretch of them there. But again, kudos to Rick Houston and Steve Wade there for their continued work on that. That's the only Patreon I'm actually a part of right now. I'm very happy to be. They do lots of great work there, so kudos to them on that. All righty. Next question here. What driver left Cale Yarborough's team for Cranifus Haas in 1997? What driver left Cale Yarborough's team for Cranifus Haas in 1997? Oh wait, Jimmy was disqualified for repairs under the red. Oh no, is that what happened? That's crazy. Wow, I can't even tell what's going on in terms of like the pace laps or if they're running. I mean, I'm wondering if like what's the pace car still doing out there? But I guess we haven't got there yet. What driver left Cale Yarborough's team for Cranifus Haas in 1997? Okay, now we're live. Where's this? Where's the starting line? Okay, it's not there. Not there. Not there. Okay. I got to make a left here, make a right here. Then you make a left. You get over the bridge. You get down the street. Oh boy, this is gonna. Okay, not there. Are they under? Okay, there. Oh my goodness, that's a. Okay, yeah, that's a crazy. That's a crazy one. Makes me wonder what this would be like if they actually went through with that New York Street course that NASCAR man did that video on. Okay. What driver left Cale Yarborough's team for Cranifus Haas in 1997? The answer is Jeremy Mayfield. A lot of you got that one. Jeremy Mayfield is the correct answer. Glen 7000. Bean Boy, I think you were the first on that. Bean Boy 89. Will Cronkright was on Juniors last week. Yeah, I haven't watched that one either. Like I said, I got a few to catch up on here. I cycle through a few different podcasts here, so that one's a little bit later there. Okay, I'll admit them going on the bridge is pretty cool. I mean, is it like, I mean, it reminded me. Do you remember that movie? What was it? The comedy where it was about Richard Nixon's impeachment, and there were the two girls that stumbled into it, and it's like, gosh, what was it? There was one. Dan Hedaya was in it. He was playing Nixon, and there was like a thing. There's a scene in it where they're going to McDonald's, and they're so excited. They're like, "Oh my god, it's McDonald's! It's crazy!" And of course, in the '70s, that's what it was. It was like a big deal. That's what it reminded me of when they were talking about this race. It's like, oh my god, it's a bridge, and they're racing on top of the bridge. You wouldn't believe it. And it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Let me know when they're running like the loop-de-loops on like a Hot Wheels track or something. Then maybe we'll get that hyped. But I don't know. Next question here. How many years did Kyle Petty drive for Team Sapco? Here we go. This is something very current. Well, I mean, technically. How many years did Kyle Petty drive for Team Sapco? Now look it up. Go ahead and try to guess. How many years? Papillon. Was it Papillon? I'm trying to remember. It was one of those movies. Well, this looks fine. This looks fine so far. Maybe they just had to whittle down the field a little bit. How many years did Kyle Petty drive for Team Sabco? Okay, I guess this is for 7 years. 8 seasons, 7 years, 69 years. Nice. 10 years, 7, 8, 9, 6,890. Should start my own IndyCar last car site. There you go. There, you never know. You never know. Let's see. Yeah, it was kind of fun doing. I did a couple IndyCar articles for like the when they did the race in Sears Point. I was trying to branch out into it, but I don't know. Like I said, I think James Davison was the guy I misidentified that one time, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't follow this as closely as I really need to get a really good article going on it. I mean, it is interesting. I love the Indy 500, but I haven't watched it week to week in years, like quite a while. Oh, hang on. There we go. I think it was about to hang up on me here. Okay. How many years did Kyle Petty drive for Team Sabco? The answer is 7. 7 is the correct answer. Jarkson, I think you were the first one on that one. So right on. Bad booking, you got it. Maserati 9. Michael, New Jersey diecast. All righty. Whoop, we just freeze. Okay. What pioneer owner fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II? What pioneer owner fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II? In between here, I'll make sure and mention as well, those of you who are in the Patreon, a big thanks again to you. Patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. I posted a couple other things here, including an excerpt from the JD audiobook, so you can hear a sample of that. And also a couple of pictures I've recently found. I've gone into another thing I've been doing lately is I found some great old slides of some really unusual paint schemes and different things there. I may actually do like a video using them a bit later on there. But I posted one already on there. I need to post some more of them coming up here, but that'll be coming up. So yeah, really, yeah, kind of working on getting some more stuff there. Also looking to get some more content for those of you that are in the $10 level as well. Some exclusive videos for you guys there too. I have a couple ideas. Just been a matter of just getting them done here. But now they got the audiobook done. That was a big thing I wanted to get off my list, and I'm glad that's been in there. So we'll get that up there and get going from there. What Pioneer owner fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II? The answer is Raymond Parks. Raymond Parks. We got to go back to gosh, what is that? Was that Red Byron's team owner? Raymond Parks. Those of you guessed Bud Moore. That's not a bad guess. That would have been a good guess. Of course, he famously was part of the D-Day invasion. So yeah, but Raymond Parks was actually in the Battle of the Bulge. So there you go. Yeah, I would have got that one wrong too. I thought you guys put Bud Moore and be like, oh well, this is okay, a slam dunk. But there you go. So a lot of tremendous military service in the NASCAR ownership category. So go figure. Oh, here's a fun one. What team owner hails from Shaker Heights, Ohio? I almost said Missouri. Let me read that again. What team owner hails from Shaker Heights, Ohio? Don't look it up. A team owner that hails from Shaker Heights, Ohio. All clear and inspection? Okay, that's good. This race is okay. ARCA NASCAR Start and Park Cars. Great accounts, by the way. If you haven't followed his Start and Park Car on Twitter, this race is the perfect example of why NASCAR shouldn't run a street race. We don't need a street race in the main NASCAR series. Yeah, I mean, these cars are like really fast and really nimble, and you could argue that maybe the next gen car will get us there. Boy, I don't know. I mean, I think this would just be a nightmare, especially with the way NASCAR throws cautions. The whole race would be under caution. It'd be like Road America was. That would be kind of a problem. Let me read. Oh, yeah. Let me read that question again. What team owner hails from Shaker Heights, Ohio? Is the question. Do you guys like this, by the way? If I have something in the background that maybe we're all watching and I kind of do that, is that, do you like that? Or if you don't, we can do something different or anything like that. But I like the idea of like having, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. Oh, I like that a lot. That corner there. Oh, that looks awesome. That little thing that goes like in a triangle. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I never said, to be fair, I never said that this wasn't going to be a cool race. I just think it was being like, it's like they were just talking too much about the dang bridge thing. And it's like, okay, just talk about it later in a race. Say, if you like this, you're going to love this tomorrow. That's the way you promote a race. You don't do it at the beginning while the race hasn't even happened yet. That just makes me think like, oh, why am I watching this? Click. I'm going to switch to something else, even though the race is until the next day. I don't know. I made too much of that already. There you go. All right. What team owner hails from Shaker Heights, Ohio? All righty. And the answer is, a lot of you got this. Roger Penske. I did not know that. Captain, indeed. Kathy Stein from Dance Moms. No, not quite. Maserati 9. I think you were the first one on that. Stan Hoover. That would have been interesting. He was from Ohio. Good guess. So you got that. Okay, right on. It's fine. Yes, I don't mind. Okay, that's cool. Maybe we'll into the tires. That's okay. Ooh, boy, that's a really tight spot right there. No, that's crazy. Huh. Incidentally, again, I try to express this concisely as possible as I already against the character limit here. I mentioned in the Ima Jean post that it was on the same day as the race that claimed JD's life. Obviously, the actual day itself is this Wednesday. I meant the same day because the race was happening today. It just happened to be a different day. That's the thing there. So, if in case that wasn't clear, I know some people pointed out, and you're right to point it out for sure. And of course, that's why we're going to do another stream this Wednesday for the actual 30-year mark of that there too. We'll have more information on that coming up here too. Let's see. Next question here. What team owner was once Ford Motors Director of Special Vehicle Operations? That is our next question. What team owner was once Ford Motors Director of Special Vehicle Operations? Doesn't say years, it just says was once. Now, again, this is a late 90s thing, so think about it in that time frame. We're talking about 98, 99, well, more 97, 98, really. Because we got early 98 questions in here. I got to tell you, which company, I mean, auto racing in general, I know we're watching an IndyCar race here in the background, you know, they've always had sponsors that seem to just come completely out of left field that have never been in a sport, and suddenly they're just everywhere. They're just absolutely everywhere. I don't know which one has spent more money this year between the Spiked Coolers company, the Big Machine Vodka company, and the Nurtec ODT company, because I never heard of either of these, and suddenly they're just everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. I mean, the Big Machine team, they have Jade Buford's team that sprung up in the Xfinity series, and of course they're sponsoring them. They got logos all over this track. And Big Machine in general has been in the sport a while. I mean, heck, I think Dan Weldon was sponsored by him years ago. So you got that. They sponsored the IndyCar race. They had that's right. They were sponsored. They had the hand sanitizer, right? That was sponsoring it last year. So there was that. And then and then on the other side, you got the Nurtec ODT thing. And of course, that's all with Rick Ware's team. And they got multiple cars at one point, like multiple cars on that side, cars in the Pinty series, cars in the IndyCar series, everywhere. I'm waiting for them to sponsor a powerboat and a air races plane or something, or a dirigible. They're just like everywhere. I don't know which companies put more money in, but I mean, great. I mean, I love seeing them up there. It's just amazing how a certain couple of sponsors can almost monopolize how much attention you can. Wow, I love that corner. How much attention it kind of draws to you when you see it on the screen, and those two in particular. I mean, it's working. I mean, I'm able to say like, yeah, this is the company that exists, and they're doing this. So, yeah, Big Machine Vodka. There you go. What team owner was once Ford Motors Director of Special Vehicle Operations? The answer is Michael Kranifus, Maserati 9. I think you were the first one on that one. Michael Kranifus is the answer. David Blair? Nope, not quite. Jack Bonneville? Nope, not quite. Ooh, goodness. They're having a... Man, that's a tight turnaround there. Ugh, okay. Let's see. What was I doing? This... yes, 10 minutes ago. Thank you, No Tires, Just Gas. I'm not ignoring your comments. I saw it there in the chat. Inspection completed Watkins Glen. This posted by Jayski 10 minutes ago. No issues for Kyle Larson. He is officially the winner. Kyle Busch and Anthony Alfredo each had one loose lug nut. So, again, congratulations to Kyle Larson, your winner. And your last place finisher, James Davison, will be the subject of the Cup Series last car article, which will be available later tonight. So we'll do a little show a little bit longer here, and then we'll wrap up for today. Derek Cope, thank you for the super chat. I didn't see a message for me to read there, but I do appreciate the super chat, so thank you there, of course. As I mentioned, the Derek Cope book is still on its way. I'm going to be updating it more this week, actually. So that'll be a different one. Bass Pro spin a ton. Yeah, absolutely. That's another good one. Good eye, Brian. Big Machine. I guess Big Machine sponsored Indy the last couple of years. So there's that. Here we go. Next question. What team owner was born in Munich, Germany? What team owner was born in Munich, Germany? That's the next question. Wow, that is a mess. The pit exit is right at that chicane's exit. They're going to run over each other constantly. I mean, in a series where everybody's wheels locked together. I mean, I guess they got the side pods are so big now that that's less common. But yeah, you can't really bounce these things off each other. Wow, that's a who designed that? It's even got a spot where it tapers right into a wall. Well, you're supposed to follow that blend line until it puts you in the fence. I guess it's supposed to be single file there. But that's a wow, that's crazy. Huh. Okay, that's bizarre. Oh, what team owner was born in Munich, Germany is the next question. Yeah, I guess is for Bob Pockrass is at a wedding. Not his, I believe. I think isn't he married already? I thought he was. I don't know. But yeah, friend's wedding. So I know he was occupied today. So kudos to him. LW Wright, Hubert Hopp. I like the LW Wright thing too. I know NASCAR Man already has a great chronicle of it. I hope he was consulted for that because I thought he revealed a lot of interesting information in the threads that he's posted and the articles he's written on it. That's been a project that he's been really big on there too. But yeah, solid job by the FS1 group. I watched it on lunch earlier this week, and I thought that was pretty good. What team owner was born in Munich, Germany? The answer is Michael Kranifus. Twofer on the Kranifus questions. Maserati 9, there you go. Up in Glen 7000, you got it even earlier. By the way, after our show last week, I did get my haircut, so it's a little closer to the length of this. So it's a little different. Kudos to Last Bro for getting this one done there. I think he did a nice job on it, I think. That's closer to it. See, that doesn't look like that looks like I'm not trying to hang on to keeping this as long as possible. So there's that. There we go. Here we go. Here's a good one. What team owner? Next question. We'll do a couple more here and we'll probably wrap up. We're not going to stay for the rest of this. This is probably going to go to midnight at the rate it's going. What team owner did Dick Trickle and Phil Parsons drive for in 1993 and 1994? I assume it's a Cup team they're talking about. What team owner did Dick Trickle and Phil Parsons drive for in 1993 and 1994? Oh, they're showing that replay again. Ooh and E. There you go. You're close. What team owner did Dick Trickle and Phil Parsons drive for in 1993 and 1994? Grosjean's in 12th. Okay, cool. Interesting. Thorin Oakenshield? Not quite. I don't think. Larry Hedrick, Jenny Donlavey, Paul Simon, Larry Hedrick, Bud Moore. What team owner did Dick Trickle and Phil Parsons drive for in 1993 and 1994? And the answer is indeed Larry Hedrick. Larry Hedrick, Hedrick Motorsports, the famous number 41 that ran for many years as a single car operation. Of course, you identify the 41 now as being one of the Stuart Haas efforts years ago. It used to have some of the greatest paint schemes, quite honestly. Even the Mannheim Auctions car in 93 that Parsons ran, the Kodiak one that Ricky Craven took to Rookie of the Year in 95. Those are always ones that really stand out to me. Hardly ever. Well, Joe Nemechek's in 94, the Meineke one. That was a nice paint scheme. Very utilitarian team. Had a really cool design with the LH, making a 41. Like he kind of did that with his initials. I thought that was really cool. So that was neat. Goobs King, thank you for the super chat there. Hey Brock, heading home from Watkins Glen right now. Late to the stream, but what do you think of this race weekend? First of all, I'm glad you're late to the stream. I was been a little odds and ends here today. But thank you so much again for the super chat and for asking here. Again, big, a really interesting weekend in general. I thought it was really good in the ARCA series and the Truck series, and to a lesser extent the Xfinity series seemed like they were pretty competitive. I know there's a little bit of craziness on all fronts, especially with the lack of practice and qualifying. I think we'll get a better race product when we get practice and qualifying back next year. The ARCA series loved seeing the large field, loved seeing Brad Perez get out there, make his series debut. Running as high as 14th would have been nice if he had a good finish to show for it. Unfortunately, these things happen, especially at a track as demanding at the Glen. The Truck Series side of it there, I really thought Carson Hocevar was going to win that. Unfortunately, ends up a little bit further back in the lineup. Unusual disqualification with Chandler Smith with the illegal post-race heights, taking last place from Will Rogers. Had a Will Rogers article set up for that. But I thought the truck race was interesting. I wish the coverage was a little bit better because I think there was a whole lot more that was happening that you probably saw yourself that we didn't see. But I think a pretty solid race. I think the trucks definitely belong at Watkins Glen. They put on good shows out there. Xfinity Series side, have to have nothing but respect for Ty Gibbs. Great run he had out there, especially getting the lead back from AJ Allmendinger. Austin Cindric being a little bit more mortal at a road course. It's not necessarily a slam dunk that he's going to go in there and dominate the event. So I loved seeing that. I can't wait for Gibbs to be a full-timer in the series. I think he's going to be, a real threat for the championship once he finally does get to that point. Hopefully he gets the sponsorship deals worked out, but he keeps running like this. That shouldn't be a problem. So, certainly hoping for the absolute best on that. On the Cup Series side, kind of an unusual race here. Long green flag runs, but a much more competitive race than we last saw back in 2019 with the high downforce, low horsepower package. I think this time around it was much closer to what we saw at Sears Point and Road America and these other tracks. Yeah, the field got strung out a bit, and that played directly into Kyle Larson's hands. But there were some impressive rallies there, both by Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott in particular. Hated that Bell got spun out there. Had a good race going there at the same time. Saw some comers and goers. But most importantly, as I said at the beginning of the show, a safe race. And even with, relatively low attrition there on that side, everybody except for James Davison within 3 laps of the leader. An entertaining one, too. Glad to see racing back at the Glen. And I hope you had a great time there, too, because I know that it made me want to go back. It made me want to go back and cover that again. I hope I certainly get the chance to someday. Because there's great fans and great people out there. The International Motor Racing Research Center up there is fantastic. Smalley's Garage, the original 1948 course, is something you have to see if you've never been there before. Loved covering it in 2018. Would love to do it again in any weather. So hope you had a great time there, Goobs King, and thank you again for the super chat. Rossi is on a tear. Okay, there you go. And no tires, just gas. Yes, I did see that news. I led with that there at the beginning of the show here. So we have had that information as well. Alrighty. Oop, okay. I gave this answer away already. It was asking what team Ricky Craven drove for his Rookie of the Year season. So, of course, that would be another Larry Hedrick question. Let me get the next one here. That was too easy. That was too easy. Okay, here we go. Next question. Who left Petty Enterprises to pilot Kodak Chevrolets for Morgan McClure Racing? Or Morgan McClure Motorsports, technically. I think they had a character limit here. Who left Petty Enterprises to pilot Kodak Chevys for Morgan McClure Motorsports? I appreciate you guys tuning in here. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. We have had the IndyCar race in the background here the last, probably maybe only the last like 20 minutes here. But yeah, I could definitely see, man. I hope somebody's flipping quarters out of their out of the cockpit here and see if they can pick them up with the rear tires. I think that would be the ultimate challenge. Somebody needs to just straight up do that. Like, come on. Only there's a possibility there. Okay, I guess it's for Bobby Hamilton, Rick Wilson, Ariana Grande. Let's see. Who left Pitting Enterprises to pilot Kodak Chevys for Morgan McClure Racing? The answer is indeed Bobby Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton. Alrighty. Oh, here we go. Next question. What year did King Richard's teams begin racing Pontiacs? Don't look it up. Look at the 4 car stopped against the wall here. What year did King Richard's teams begin racing Pontiacs? Well, that's not good. At least we're past the halfway point. Do they have the halfway rule in IndyCar? I assume they do. What year did King Richard's teams begin racing Pontiacs? The best mark. One right here, the Michael Waltrip Pontiac on the quilt here. Love that car. It has beautiful lines. Always a big fan of that. Oh, he just missed it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Blind corner, I guess. Ooh, that's a wow, boy. That's like the second time that McLaughlin spun, right? Oh, that sucks. That sucks. I mean, the left front suspension's already ruined, but that's just a blind corner and nothing that guy could do. Uh, 1977, 83, 78, 66. What year did King Richard's teams begin racing Pontiacs is the question. The answer is 1981. 1981. Ironically, drove a Buick in the Daytona 500 and switched to Pontiac sometime that year. 1981. Who got that? I was thinking 82. Like Jarkson, I was kind of right there with you on that. I don't think anybody got that. Did anybody get that? No, Beast of Metal, you got it. You got it as a guess there. Right on. 81 indeed. First year of the thing. The question is wrong? The question is wrong. Oh, no. Uh-oh. We got to go to review now. We got to review this. All right, here we go. King Richard's cars. All right, so we're going to go to Richard Petty. Let's find out. We go to the racing. We'll go to review. I really do need to do the screen and screen thing. I may try that again on Wednesday. I'm going to try to see if I can make that work because I do want to kind of show some pictures and so forth. So we'll see how we do on that. Okay, here we go. Let's get this page up. Can I sort it by manufacturer? Oh, I can. Ooh, okay. Right on. Let's see if this works. Buick, Chevy. Is it chronological still? Wow, all these manufacturers. Ford, Oldsmobile, Plymouth. I see. It is incorrect. 1982 Daytona 500 with Pontiac. It is not correct. It is not correct. So yeah, it says 81, but at least I do see it on Racing Reference. 1982 Daytona 500 with a Pontiac, 27th place finish, 103 of 200 laps and a crash. Any other ones here? Yeah, Pontiac. Wow, how about that? Okay, you are absolutely correct. Anybody that guessed 82, you are correct. So bad booking. Yeah, you are correct. How about that? On further review, so who was the first one to guess 82? Sorry, Beast of Metal, you were close. You were very close. Very, very close. Jarkson, I guess you were first on 82, and then bad booking, you got it also. So really, literally his last decade is that. Boom. Yeah, you got it. You got it. There you go. Well, look, fair is fair. Fair is fair. Oh, all right. Michael Juskowitz got his stickers. They're fantastic. I'm glad. See more pictures from Brad Perez. Man, he was just everywhere this weekend. Good for him. Take it in, man. Take it in. Somebody, Coopin Crackers on Twitter here. I feel this race will get a NASCAR and Brock narrated retrospective from you in a few years. That's possible. Yeah. NASCAR man's following it very closely. Maybe we'll do that. That would be something. The dawn broke early and cold. And the track is now wet? What the heck? Where did that water come from? So you leave their cooler out there? Right at the Cutwater Spirits corner? What the heck is this? Where did all that water come from? Was it in the tires? Okay. Well, we have a trivia question that was incorrect by a whole year. We have water on the track on a sunny track. It looks like it's not raining there, is it? Doesn't look like it. Looks beautiful. I don't know what's going on, folks. Let's pretend this race didn't happen. Well, I mean, that's I don't know if that's gonna be an option. Okay, here we go. Next question: who handed Marvin Panch a gas mask when Panch griped about his pipe smoke? Let me read that one again. Who handed Marvin Panch a gas mask when Panch griped about his pipe smoke? Where might my pipe be? Does the Olympics end tonight? I guess it does. I've dropped off following it for the last like 5 or 6 days. I guess I haven't watched it since last Sunday. Did they ever? I mean, I have to pull up and see if they did the Bristol wooden track thing because I need to see that. The bicycle thing. I absolutely need to check that out. It sounds like something Smokey Yunick would do. It does, Charles Peterson Jr. I do agree. Elmo Langley, Smokey Yunick. I don't think it would be LeBron James, but Junior Johnson, maybe. Who handed Marvin Panch a gas mask when Panch griped about his pipe smoke? Hey guys, they're racing over a bridge. And the answer is indeed Smokey Yunick. Smokey Yunick. As we're saying, this was a long, it sounds like something Smokey would do, and it absolutely is correct. I've taken a miss a lot. Well, certainly this IndyCar race, yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, the show's almost two hours. Okay, we'll probably wrap this up here pretty soon. And defer to the this broadcast for the finish. I still got to write the article anyway, so we'll do that. I'm seeing a lot of laps where I can't tell if it's under caution or not. That's the thing that's throwing me off as a casual enough viewer of this. Okay, well, I mean, obviously, I got the tail lights, so you can see. Oh, honestly, their traffic is about as bad as it is in the Bay Area here. All right. Okay. How about this? We'll do one more question here, and we'll do that. Here we go. So one more question for this evening, and then we'll go on to our show this coming Wednesday, August 11th. And I tentatively have that set for 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll have more information on that after this question here. Who created the first auto template in 1966 to prove that his Chevelle was stock? Who created the first auto template in 1966 to prove that his Chevelle was stock? Last question of the evening. Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly. Charles Peterson, you're all over that. What is that thing in the triangle that they're driving around? It looks like they're setting it's like a basement for something. Who created the first auto template in 1966 to prove that his Chevelle was stock? We got Junior Johnson, Cotton Owens, Smokey Eunuch, Kyle Busch, Red Byron, Eunuch, Lee Petty, Langley. We'll see. Who created the first auto template in 1966 to prove that his Chevelle was stock? Can't be KFB. Yeah, no, I think that would be a long shot for this one, especially since this was made in the late 90s. Oh, okay, pace car pulled off. Oh, and so did a couple other people. Oh no, it's just okay. That's pit road. All right, still catching up on this. All right, so last question for the evening. Here comes the answer. Who created the first auto template in 1966 to prove that his Chevelle was stock? The answer is indeed another Smokey Eunuch question. Smokey Eunuch is indeed the correct answer there. And who was first on that? Glen 7000. I think he got just ahead of Jay Walker, Master of Lightning. And then Maserati 9. Charles Peterson Jr., you got it right, of course. And there you go. Okay. Well, thank you, folks. That will do it for the show tonight. A little bit of, turned out to be a little bit of everything today. I appreciate you guys bearing with me, especially with the IndyCar race going on and everything. Again, once, as I said at the beginning of the show, condolences to the McDuffie family on Ima Jean's passing earlier this morning. The news posted at 1:15 this afternoon Pacific time on Linda's Facebook page. There will be another stream this week. This was already planned. This Wednesday, August 11th. It'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. During that, I will be reading excerpts from my book on JD, which will soon be available in a new audiobook available on Amazon. Those of you who are still interested in the paperback, copies are still available on Amazon, but I will be reading excerpts from that on the show that night. Not the full book, but just a few chapters there, and give you a sample of it. There's also a sample of the audiobook available on the Patreon at patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. So again, if you're watching this after the fact because of the IndyCar race, you certainly can tune in to another live stream this Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll catch up on that as well to, of course, mark the 30th anniversary of JD McDuffie's 653rd and final race at Watkins Glen. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show here tonight and the trivia and everything else here. After our Wednesday show, we will of course be back for the Indianapolis Grand Prix weekend as the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series run on the Indy Road Course. So have a great week, everyone, and I will see you on Wednesday.